Hey, help support the show by joining the Patreon or becoming a YouTube member. Also hit that like button to subscribe if you want more Cavs-focused content. One of the key differences from the Cavaliers to the Oklahoma City Thunder this year has been the difference in the level of recognition former and current players are willing to give to the Cavs, right? There was this Brian Windhorst clip I saw on ESPN's YouTube channel that kind of demonstrated one of the things about Oklahoma City that's truly out there is that there is a disrespect of them from not just fans and pundits, but people in the league.
I don't mean to have to be the guy who is defending Oklahoma City day in and day out on this program. I'm not even like arguing that they are a lock or that they are one of the great teams of the last decade. But my God, is there an incredible amount of disrespect for this team. And Mad Dog, it's not just you. I hear it every day. I hear it implicitly from other people I talk to in the league. I hear it implicitly from players out there who are like, yeah, we'll be all fine on the same side of the bracket as Oklahoma City. They just don't respect them.
So we know that's out there, and we've talked about it before on this channel. Draymond Green, Steve Kerr, when the Cavs were on that initial run at the beginning of the season, they couldn't stop talking about just how good of a basketball team the Cavs are and how much they remind them of themselves. And even guys who aren't really related to that whole Golden State Warrior era have been able to recognize what the Cavs bring to the table and why they are a uniquely dangerous playoff threat. Now another guy has thrown his name into the hat of people who know that the Cavs are really good. Carmelo Anthony. Let's see what he has to say about the Cavs deserving way more respect than they're given right now.
Started your beautiful answer educating us. You rattled off 4 teams that you didn't think were getting respect. We just talked about OKC. We just talked about LA.
Yes.
Boston and Cleveland were the other 2. Give me Cleveland, because I think that's the most disrespected crew.
Cleveland is, to me, Cleveland is the most disrespected crew.
Of course. But there's reasons, though. There's reasons. The past couple of years.
No, we talking about now.
Of course now.
We live in the now.
You can't blame people for being like, I got to see it in the playoffs. Because there's been 2, playoff experiences with
we ain't seen from OKC yet.
Of course not. But I think with OKC
don't get that same energy Cleveland get.
What are these 2 playoff experiences that everybody is referring to? Like, the thing about the Cavs and this whole thing about we got to see it in the playoffs, everything that people are judging about the Cavs when it comes to the playoffs is like very much overblown. Like, the Cavs had a bad series. I talked about it on this channel. I was furious when it happened a couple of years ago. They had a bad series against the New York Knicks. Cool. That happened. That was a couple of years ago. This team is completely different from that team that lost to the New York Knicks a couple of years ago. And then last year, the Cavs get out the first round, which was like everybody expected the Cavs to get out the first round, potentially lose to Boston. They get out the first round. They have a ton of injuries. And then Boston beats them in 5. Like, why are we acting as if the Cavs have choked in the playoffs or something? Like, they were up 3-1 on Boston and they let Boston come back. Like, this is not a situation where they have demonstrated that they are a choking team. This is just a team that got injured one year and a team that was inexperienced the other. Now they have experience. Hopefully they're not going to be injured. You should expect the result to be different. And another thing, why does their playoff, let's call it struggles if you want to call it struggles. I think it's a bit exaggerated. I don't really think it warrants being called playoff struggles. But let's say, why does the Cavs' playoff history invalidate anybody from being able to just have a conversation about what we're seeing right now? Like, that makes no sense to me. Like, Boston, by the way, had a history of blowing it in the playoffs, right? For years. This Boston court, Jason Tatum, Jaylen Brown, we used to make all these jokes about Jaylen Brown not being able to go right, go left. Jason Tatum think he Kobe, right? All this stuff because they didn't beat the Heat, and they lost to the finals to an old man Steph. All this stuff, and they don't have any kind of worries about them in the playoffs because they won the championship one time. That's fair, right? But they didn't get that held against them last year. People are acting like the Cavs are like the Philadelphia 76ers. Like we spent 8 years trying to get out the fucking second round and we haven't gotten out of it. It makes no sense. It's overblown. And I think it's just a reaction to convince yourself, nah, you don't need to pay attention to this team that's won 55 games already.
Yeah.
I'll say this. The addition of DeAndre Hunter and I think the rise of Ty Jerome in Cleveland makes me be like,
Ty is hooping.
Them dudes is deep and they are good, very good. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I think what's his name?
What you need
Mobley.
to-
I think Mobley's probably going to be the defensive player of the year now that Wemby's out. Like, they are super stacked. My only thing is,
What you don't like about Cleveland? Because you're a Knicks fan. What you don't like about it? Other than you being a Knicks fan.
Other than being a Knicks fan, I just feel like there's been certain games. I can't. There's nothing I can say about them this season.
You
Like,
just,
I just
it's
haven't
just something
seen them
about
go.
it. It's just something about
See, that's
it.
crazy. That's crazy. That is insane. You were about to start the lie. That's what he was about to do. Did he realize he was about to say there've been certain games where you don't know about? There's been 10 games the Cavs have lost all year. You realize how ridiculous that was about to sound. And then you just switch to, well, it's not this year. I'm worried about the 2025 Cavs because of something they did before they had DeAndre Hunter, Ty Jerome, Evan Mobley took a leap offensively. Like, do you realize how ridiculous that sounds?
I'm just looking for you.
For one, when you gotta go through the champs to be,
So is it
there?
on-court performance? Is it swag? Is it aura?
I like
Is it
Spider.
the way they play. Like, what
Darius
is
Garland's
that?
my guy. I like them. My only thing is when you got to go through the champs to be taken seriously.
Yeah, no,
and
absolutely.
in your conference,
Absolutely.
And we've seen you in the past seasons like slow it up a little bit or straight up get punked.
You can't hold that. You can't hold
And they
that to
said it.
athletes. You can't hold that to athletes.
Because
I'm
this is what they said.
I'm better than I was last year.
This is what Donovan
You get
Mitchell
what I'm
said
saying?
after they beat.
Yo, is that Keon Coleman? Is that Keon Coleman? Shout out to Keon, man.
After they
Yeah, but
stopped
that's
the
a
Knicks
bad way of thinking
a
because
couple weeks
I'm
ago.
better. I'm better than I was last year. From that
Thank you.
experience of us losing like that, I've gotten better mentally, physically. My game got better, got tighter. I got smarter. So I'm coming into this situation learning from all the shit that we didn't do that they exposed Cleveland last year.
Right.
So all the shit that they got exposed for, we gonna work on that in this offseason, in this season. This whole season, we preparing for Boston.
Understood.
So because of that, you see how locked in they are, and you see where they sit at top of the rankings.
Yeah, this shit ain't worried about
We
the
just
Knicks.
people don't want but people don't want to believe it though because it's Cleveland. Like if that exact fucking team was in New York,
I knew you was about to say
you
that.
give it up. That shit, oh my God, they would fucking be. Come on, like come on. So let's give Cleveland. But I'm talking about the.
Listen. This man who's been making all of these garbage arguments, right? Listen to what he says after Carmelo makes his very simple point.
Fucking team was in New York.
I knew you was about to say
You
that.
give it up. That shit, oh my God, they would fucking be. Come on, like come on. So let's give Cleveland.
You're right.
But I'm talking about the.
What are we doing here, there, dog? What are we doing here? What are we doing here? Why are we doing this? Why are we doing this? We are having conversations about the Cavs that might have been valid like 12, 15 games ago, maybe at the beginning of the season. And look, I'm not saying, and I don't think Cavs fans are saying, I don't want to speak for everybody, but most of the Cavs fans I interact with understand the challenge of trying to dethrone Boston. They understand that that is not a given just because they have the best record in the NBA. But we do want the respect of being talked about with Boston as an equal, not being disregarded, not being thrown up only in conversations about how we are inferior to Boston. We want to be talked about and respected in the regular season at the very least, at the same level as where Boston is, because while we got a better record than Boston, Boston does have that championship, right? We should be talked about as a threat to win the championship, not as a threat to Boston, right? It's this main character syndrome that the NBA has a problem with, right? The NBA, of all the leagues, to a fault, has main character syndrome problem, where they just decide that this team's going to be the main character this season. And then they wonder, whenever that team gets eliminated, why people aren't interested in what goes on for the rest of the year. They have done this for years. It's been a problem. We've been trying to tell people, hey, man, this is bad. People don't care that the Suns are winning this many games. People don't care that the Hawks are winning. That's a problem for the league in the long run. Now you have two teams about to clear 60 games in Oklahoma City and Cleveland. And because of the fact that it's not in a large market that it's happening, because the fact that none of these guys are superstar generational talents to the level of LeBron James, or recognizable to the level of LeBron James, we don't have the right conversations about them because we're too busy making Boston the main character, making the Lakers the main character. I mean, it's obvious that ESPN wants a Boston Lakers finals. Like, that's obviously what they want. Luka, LeBron, Boston, they feel like they can sell that. They're worried about getting a Oklahoma City Cavs finals because they don't want to work hard to figure out how to market that. It's easy. You can market it. The basketball is going to be fantastic, but it's just simpler. There's an easier reach. You know, the capitalism of it all is much simpler if Boston and LA make the finals. That's a long way to go to say we create this messed up landscape that we live in right now. And I just hope that sooner than later, some of the people who have the most influence in why this landscape looks like this start to try to do the actual work to fix some of the problems that are there. But if we're being real, a lot of these guys who are up here, and I'm not saying this guy in the blue sweater is, I don't know who he is. I'm not too familiar with him because his name is not in the description of this video. Maybe I've heard of his work like in written format, but not really too familiar with his work based off the look of him alone. I don't know who that is. But the reason that the people who have the most influence right now are the ones who are influencing the media landscape to go in this direction of main character syndrome and all this stuff that I talk about, all these problems, is because the people who own the platforms want those people to have the megaphone, right? So even if they did change up the message, then ESPN might just be like, all right, we're going to switch up who got the megaphone. It's unfortunate where we are with this, but let's continue.
Game, to your point, like the game, the way Kenny Atkinson structured that team, the way he have his defense executing on defense, the way he got Donovan Mitchell locked in and able to say, I'm ready to wear this hat. I'm ready to lead this team. For years, we questioned Donovan leadership. Not we, but y'all. The media questioned Donovan leadership.
Okay, y'all, media now. But anyway, go ahead. You media now.
I wasn't there last year. Like me personally, I really believe in Cleveland. Now, could they beat Boston in the seven games?
Yeah, that's a thing.
They have an opportunity. They have an opportunity.
You heard him.
To beat Boston.
He didn't want to hear that.
What did he say?
We're not talking about that right now. We're not talking about that.
All right, we ain't trying to hear that.
They have opportunities. So I'm a fan of just why I love to watch how they play.
All right, it's a 7 p.m. in Brooklyn podcast with Carmelo Anthony. It's actually a pretty good pod. But yeah, that the thing that infuriates me, and I think Carmelo was trying to get to it in that segment, is people don't talk about the basketball with the Cavs, right? Everything about why you don't believe in the Cavs is about some other shit. It's not about the actual basketball. It's not about the problems that they might have. Like, to be fair, Oklahoma City does get fairly disrespected. But I think the reason it's different from the players in the league with Oklahoma City and the Cavs, right? You don't really hear that player level disrespect from the Cavs. You actually get the opposite from the Cavs. Is as you look at Oklahoma City and you see a couple of things that are problematic in the playoffs. One, Shea plays that James Harden style, which is get to the foul line a lot. We know that through James Harden's career, that could be something that could be problematic for you in the playoffs. We also know with Oklahoma City, they only got one guy who can, on command, get a bucket. Right? The Cavs don't have that problem. Cavs have two guys at the very least, 2.5 if you can include Ty Jerome, which I would include Ty Jerome into that. So we don't have those same issues that Oklahoma City has that are a little bit structural, why you would worry about them in the playoffs. Cavs just don't have that. Cavs have a top-rated defense, top-rated offense. Cavs have multiple guys who go get you a bucket, multiple guys who go win you a playoff game. They have Evan Mobley, all of this stuff. Like, people talk about Oklahoma City being a guy away. The Cavs are Oklahoma City, but not with but they have the extra guy. Which is why I think if we talk about the basketball, it's very hard for you to come up with an argument to dismiss the Cavs as NBA Finals contenders. But if we're talking about all the other stuff, right, they haven't won big in the playoff stuff, then yeah, I guess you can convince yourself, but ask yourself the question if that's an actual basketball metric. Or is that some shit you just saying? Because a lot of this falls under the category of some shit y'all just saying. It don't even be well thought out. But appreciate Melo. Y'all make sure y'all keep it locked in. Hit that subscribe button. Ding that notification bell. Everybody have a great day. Have a better night. Peace.